All right, turn to page 80. And on page 80, we have a warm-up for your quiz over average atomic mass. If you have not already had a few minutes to work on this, then you should pause the video and take about, I'm going to say about 8 minutes to work on this warm-up, and then you can watch me go over it, and then take your quiz. So go ahead and pause the video. And at this point, if you are watching it and it is playing, then that means you have finished your warm-up. So let's take a look. Number one, the most abundant isotopes of oxygen are oxygen 16, oxygen 17, and oxygen 18. Which of these three isotopes is the most abundant or most common in nature, and why? Well, we know that the average on the periodic table will be closest to the most abundant one. So, if you look at your periodic table, then that should give you a pretty good hint on which of these three is the most abundant. And if we go to the periodic table, we see that oxygen has an average atomic mass of 16, which means there must be a lot more oxygen 16 than any of the others, because it's bringing the average, it's pulling the average down to 16. So you could say oxygen 16 is the most abundant. Because the periodic table average atomic mass is closest to 16. Looking at number 2, there's a chart that is not filled out, and it wants you to find the average atomic mass. So first you're going to have to fill out the chart. We have K39 is 92.7%. So that's one isotope and its percentage. K40 is 1.6%. That's our next isotope and its percent abundance. K41 is 5.7%. And we also know that these numbers after the hyphens, those are the masses. So 39, 40, and 41. When we calculate average atomic mass, we have 4 steps. And the first step is to make sure you have a chart filled out. So we have now taken all the information they gave us and we put it in the chart. Our next step is to take those percents, divide by 100, and turn them into decimals. So 92.7% becomes 0.927. 1.6%, remember, you still have to move the decimal twice. So that's 0.016%. Or, 1.6% becomes 0.016 when it's a decimal. And 5.7%, if you divide by 100, you get 0.057. So that's step 2, done. Step 3, you have to multiply the decimal times the mass and get a product for each one. So you can go to your calculator. 0.927 times 39 is 36.153. 0.016 times 40 is 0.64, and 0.057 times 41 is 2.337. Our last step is just to add all of those together. And again, you are allowed to use a calculator. So, add them up. Don't waste your time doing third grade arithmetic by hand. Just type it in your calculator, that's fine. And I get 39.13, which is pretty dang close to what the periodic table tells me potassium is, so that's a good sign. If we look at number 3, rubidium has 2 isotopes, Rb85 with the 72% abundance, Rb87 with the 28% abundance. Which isotope will the average atomic mass be closest to? And it says you shouldn't need to calculate anything to answer this question. And the reason for that is, again, because we know that the average atomic mass, which is the mass on the periodic table, will be closest to the most abundant one. That means the one with the higher percentage. So the mass, or the average atomic mass, zoom in, will be closest to 85, and the reason for that is because 85 has a much larger abundance with 72%. All right, when you're done writing that, unless Miss Woodlock says otherwise, it's time for your quiz. After your quiz, let's real quick go ahead and go to your stamp page so I can tell you what my intended last stamp is. Of course, Miss Woodlock is always likely to edit it depending on what you have had time for in class. But if we're looking at our stamp page, again, she may have told you to change something from what I've written down. But I'll go ahead and tell you that for sure a stamp somewhere is going to be for, let's see, I believe it's the 18th and 19th at this point. Yeah. Depending on if it's an A day or a B day, it's either the 18th or the 19th, and you will get a stamp for your test review, which is pages 81 to 82, because you have a test next class. So make sure that you get that taken care of, that test review. Ms. Woodlock will tell you if there's anything else you need to do to your stamp page. And again, unless she says otherwise, it's quiz time. The next time you hear a video from me, it'll be a new book.